அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம். தமிழ் தாயின் பாதம் பணிந்து ஈரடியால் உலகை அளந்த வள்ளுவன் பாதம் தொட்டு இன்றைய நிகழ்வை தொடங்கி வைக்கின்றோம். திருக்குறள் ஃபார் யுனெஸ்கோ, இந்த அடிப்படையில் தான் இன்றைய நிகழ்வு அமைகின்றது. Let me start with the concept paper which was prepared by International Thirukkural Foundation Mauritius, Tamil Valarchi Mandram, later joined by Voice of Valluvar family from India. There have been international participants including Tamil scholars, educationists, ministers, and high-level ministry officials, opinion leaders, and Tamil organizations, youth, children, and international organizations, eminent researchers and speakers who have been contributing towards this noble cause. The objectives are international participants, including Tamil scholars and educationists and researchers, will contribute in a way that we can take Thirukkural as a universal literature in UNESCO. Following the very successful International Thirukkural Conference organized jointly by Tamil Valarchi Mandram, Australia, International Thirukkural Foundation Mauritius in 2019 in Sydney, in association with Sydney University, with the underpinning theme Thirukkural and Peace and Harmony in Sydney 2020, and again online on Thirukkural and Multiculturalism in association with SRM University, which gave us the strength to start taking Thirukkural's universality and highlighting its universal nature to focus on Thirukkural as a universal literature in hosting peace and harmony to holding the value of UNESCO's values. Based on that, Dr. Parsuramen, President of International Thirukkural Foundation Mauritius, myself, Dr. Chandrika Subramaniam from the Tamil Valarchi Mandram founder, Mr. Rajendran, founder, coordinator, Voice of Valluvar, in association with Valai Tamil, we started hosting several conferences with eminent scholars every month, sometimes twice a month, to unleash the potential of ancient literature as book of the world. We have completed more than 8 conferences now, and we will be going ahead until we reach UNESCO with this aim. With these objectives, I will now introduce Mr. Parsuramen, who has been a mastermind behind this entire thing. Today is going to talk about universal literature, Thirukkural, taking peace and harmony, and how it will be reaching the UNESCO and Thirukkural in the pathway to peace and harmony. Minister of Education, Arts and Culture, and Minister of Education and Science of Mauritius, both between 1983 and 1985, and Director and Representative of UNESCO between 1998 and 2011. Mr. Parsuramen, GOSK, is currently the founder president of Global Rainbow Foundation, a charitable trust dedicated to the relief of poverty, the advancement of education, assistance to children and adults with physical and mental disabilities, many other purposes beneficial to the public in general and the poor and most disadvantaged. Since 2013, Mr. Parsuramen is also the founder president of University of Third Age Mauritius, U3AM. Born in 1951 in Mauritius, Mr. Parsuramen holds a BA Honours degree, Administration from University of Mauritius, started his career in the field of education as a secondary school teacher in 1978. He was elected as a village councillor in 1978 and became chairman of the District Council North in 1979. He was elected as member of Mauritius Parliament since 1982 till 1995 and served for 4 consecutive terms, during which he honorably provided excellent leadership as Minister of Education, Arts and Culture and Minister of Education and Science, and has been credited with being the architect of Mauritian 10-year education master plan, which spearheaded the development of Mauritius education system. After highly appreciated services in Mauritius, Mr. Parsuramen became dedicated and renowned international civil servant. He joined the World Bank in 1997 as Education Policy Advisor and Coordinator of the Education Component of the United Nations Special Initiative for Africa UNCIA, administered by the World Bank. In 1998, he was appointed Director of UNESCO's Division for the renovation of secondary and vocational education, and in 2000, he became Director of the same organization's Regional Bureau for Education in Africa before returning to UNESCO headquarters in Paris in 2004 to lead both Secretariat of UNESCO Executive Board and that of its governing bodies, serving therefore as a secretary of both the Executive Board and the General Conference. In 2009, Mr. Parsuramen was appointed Director of UNESCO, New Delhi office, and representative to Bhutan, India, Maldives, and Sri Lanka, whereas he served tirelessly until June of 2011, when he retired and returned home to Mauritius. His current assignments include Founder President, Global Rainbow Foundation, Founder President, University of Third Age, Honorary Chairman, Gandhi Breed Ashram, Mauritius, Chairman, International Committee of We Care Film Festival on Disability Issues, Member of Governing Board, Institution of Asian Studies, Tamil Nadu, India, Member of the Executive Council, Council of Religions, Mauritius, Founder President, International Thirukkural Foundation, Trustee, Jane Constance Trust, and he has acclaimed many awards, national and international. 1984 Honorary Freedom of the Pampalzas Riveridi Rampart, District Council, Republic of Mauritius. 1986 Honorary Freedom of the Mocha Flag District Council. 2002 Silvius Wolensky Award for Service as an Outstanding International Leader in Technical and Vocational Education. 2004 Distinction Valérien de Gory by the Mayor of Ile de Gory, Senegal. 2009 UNESCO Executive Board Decision 1982 to pay tribute to Mr. Arumugam Parsuramen, Secretary of Executive Board of General Conference. 2010 National Award, Grant Officer of the Order of the Star and Key of the Indian Ocean, which is GOSK, Republic of Mauritius. 2011 Officer d'Ordre des Arts et des Letters, Republic Française. 2011 Ulagat Tamilar Mamani, the crown jewel of World Tamils, awarded by Madras Development Society on the occasion of Second World Economic Conference 2011. 2018 Defi Media's 50th Anniversary of Independence Award for Service to Education in Mauritius. 2019 nominated by European Union Ambassador of Rice and Shine, and following which recently he was awarded a doctorate from Tanjavur Tamil University for his tireless efforts and contribution towards Tamil in Mauritius and in the entire world. Let me now welcome Mr. Arumugam Parsuramen to deliver his speech on Thirukkural and Peace and Harmony towards the pathway to UNESCO.
Mikka Nandri, Dr. Chandrika Subramanian, and I'm very humbled and touched by your introduction. And I would like to say that since we are talking about Thirukkural Valluvar, all that you have said about me, my achievements, and whatever, it only started with my parents teaching me Thirukkural as the guiding light in my life, the path to follow. So that's, I think, I would like to dedicate that to them. And also to my mother, who was my Shakti, who was illiterate, but was a Shakti behind me to take me along this path, and my father. So I just wanted to pay tribute to them. And this is also equally a very meaningful introduction about me in our forum. So thank you very much once again. Perogale Anbargale Vanakkam. My late father used to preach to me about Kural verses during my young days, encouraging me to peruse the Kural and bring the teachings into practice so that I could grow up to be a good world citizen. Thirukkural teachings have molded my perspective on life and have greatly contributed to the wonderful journey I've accomplished in life, particularly in my mission of service to humanity. With this deep conviction, and in accordance with Rabindranath Tagore's astute quote, Thirukkural is appreciated throughout the world for its universality. I quote, Thirukkural is required not only for our Indians, but also for the world. And the statement by Subramania Bharadiyar, I quote, Valluvar, a gift of Tamil Nadu to the world. So when I reflected on these very profound statements, I felt a call of duty. After my retirement from my professional work from UNESCO in 2011, I decided to dedicate myself, along with many other outstanding disciples of Valluvar, in carrying out the noble mission of taking Thirukkural to the world. The idea was sparked by the hosting of a national conference on Thirukkural in Mauritius in 2016, and we named our joint endeavor a Kural Mission. The Kural Mission was an initiative to take Thirukkural to the world. In that context, we organized a series of international conferences on Kural and UNESCO for world peace, starting in 2017 at Nagarkoil, Kanyakumari in Tamil Nadu, in 2018 at Liverpool in England, 2019 Sydney in Australia, organized by Dr. Chandrika Subramaniam, and New Delhi in India in 2019 at the UNESCO office, being the symbol of our journey to take Thirukkural to the world. And we had planned to culminate all these conferences in a global conference on Thirukkural and UNESCO for world peace at UNESCO headquarters in Paris. This was planned with COVID-19. The global conference intended for 2020 was postponed, and we decided to maintain the momentum of the movement by organizing a series of online international conferences on the overarching theme of Thirukkural and UNESCO for world peace and harmony. And this began on Valluvar Day, January 15th, 2021, with the first speaker being Justice Mahadevan. And so far we have organized 7 conferences, and my talk today will be the 8th international conference. And we have more to come. Every month we are having other conferences by eminent personalities, and all these will take us to our destination with the blessings of Saint Thiruvalluvar. Well, my theme of my talk today is Thirukkural and UNESCO, building peace and harmony in the world. And the presentation will cover several sub-themes. One is Thirukkural, a brief profile, then Thirukkural as a universal text, Thirukkural as a national book, Thirukkural for peace and harmony. Then, with regards to UNESCO, the main mission of UNESCO, building peace in the minds of men, and then the history of the culture of peace, which UNESCO initiated, and then UNESCO culture of peace and nonviolence, and then bring the two together, UNESCO and Thirukkural, building peace and harmony, and how the two can contribute to that. And then also briefly mention the process and modalities for taking Thirukkural to UNESCO. That will be the last part of my intervention. So, first of all, I think it's good to highlight that Marai Malay Adigal, there have been a lot of different interpretation of the date of birth of Valluvar. But I think an authority which was endorsed by Kalaignar, Dr. Karunanidhi, former Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, that based on Marai Madigal assertion that Valluvar was born on 31 BCE, 31 years before Christ. That what he determined after a lot of examination and then research. So I will take it for that, which gives us an idea of when Valluvar wrote the Thirukkural, to show that it was at a time when we didn't have all that we could see today in the current world. So it's a very ancient but also very, very powerful message. And we all know that Thirukkural is one of the most important works in the Tamil language. It's an early Tamil literature which gives a blistering insight and wisdom to human. And it contains 1,330 couplets in 136 chapters, each chapter containing 10 couplets. Every chapter has some specific topic to expound the various aspects of life. It has three main parts: life with the power of goodness, material life, and life with passion of love. These three parts have touched every aspect of our life. This shows the speciality of this ancient scripture. Quran is not entirely a spiritual text discussing about extraterrestrial matters, but it is a work on ethics for all and discusses numerous aspects pertaining to day-to-day life. In Thirukkural, each couplet abides by its own strength and literary values. Therefore, the Tamil community considered those who do not know Thirukkural can never lead a meaningful life in this world. And Kamil Zilebil, a well-known Tamil scholar, had said, I quote, "Thirukkural is a contribution of the Tamil creative genius to the world's cultural treasure and should be familiar to the whole world and admired and beloved by all in the same way as the poems of Homer, the dramas of Shakespeare, the pictures of Rembrandt, the cathedrals of France, and the sculpture of Greece." And even though Thirukkural, according to one of its titles, is Podumare, is common to all nations, all religions, and acceptable for all times, it remains a forbidden fruit to many of the Indians and to the foreigners. We must blame ourselves for this because while people of other countries, why even our brethren like the Bengalis are propagating the language and literature throughout the world, we are vainly indulging in our glorious past. It will not be an exaggeration if we say that of all the great poets, philosophers, and thinkers of the ancient as well as modern times, Thiruvallur stands foremost. But it is a matter for regret and that his immortal work, Thirukkural, perhaps the greatest and noblest literary creation the human intellect had ever produced, is not so much known to the outside world as those of Homer, of Virgil, Plato, Aristotle, Dante, Goethe, and Shakespeare or Milton. Therefore, it becomes our duty, it's a call for duty to all of us to join together and take Thirukkural to the world. I recognize that a lot has been done, but we have not reached the goal that we wanted. And this, I think, all of us in our own lifetime, we should continue this, the advocacy, the journey, and hopefully we'll be able to do it in due course. I think it's also interesting to recall, while we are talking about Thirukkural, a very significant symbol of Thirukkural. I'll refer to that. The ancient Tamil poets, as well as the kings of the three Tamil kingdom, Chera, Chola, and Pandya, acknowledge the erudite magnitude of the Thirukkural. An ancient story enunciates the greatness of the Thirukkural. At the time of its first presentation to the Pandyan king's court, King Sengbaga Pandyan wanted to gauge the greatness of this piece. Hence, he decided to place the manuscript, along with other contemporary works, on the golden lotus plank at the Madurai Meenakshi temple. This plank is considered sacred and is known to have magical powers that can identify exemplary manuscript. While all of the manuscripts were rejected, the Thirukkural was accepted and ever since has been an essential piece of Tamil literature. I think it's good to highlight that because this shows the depths of Thirukkural itself as recognized. Well, I will now talk about Thirukkural as a universal text. Thirukkural is a universal Veda and universal code of conduct because its uniqueness lies in the fact that it is relevant to all people, irrespective of differences in cultures, religions, race, land, and nationalities. And Thirukkural, unlike other philosophical works, ruminates on numerous facets of life. Well-known philosophers such as Buddha, Confucius, Socrates, Aristotle, and Plato focus on a specific aspect of human values and experience. Thirukkural, on the other hand, covers the entire gamut of human experiences in a very thorough manner. As Professor P.N. Diaz stated, he advocated two reasons for the universal appeal of Thirukkural. I quote, "Some writers would write about an ideal land where everything is perfect, the laws, the morals, politics, etc. Thirukkural was also an idealist, but he had his feet firmly rooted in reality. Looking at the atrocities committed in the name of religion, race, politics, he became an avowed champion, voicing his protests against men's inhumanity to man. One reason for the universal appeal of Thirukkural is that the author, though an idealist, being so humane, he is not unmindful of the stark reality. So he makes Thirukkural an amalgamation of the ideal and the actual. Couplet 222 bears ample testimony to this amalgamation. I quote, "Though it's a good way to receive is bad, though top world is denied, give what you had." The second reason for universal appeal of Thirukkural, according to Diaz, is that though there are so many bitter ideas couched in couplets which have to be written with aphoristic brevity, Thirukkural succeeds in presenting them as sugar-coated pills. He states, "Pregnant worded sage fame that stands high, lens hidden tongue will proclaim by and by." Couplet 28. So Thirukkural is acclaimed over the world for its universality by different eminent personalities, and I'll just mention a few of them. The ancient Tamil poet Avvaiyar stated, "Thiruvallur pierced an atom, injected 7 oceans into it, and compressed it into what we have today as Kural." End of quote. The Russian philosopher Alexander Piatigorsky said, "Due not only to the great artistic merits of the work, but also to the lofty human ideas permeating in it, which are equally valuable to people all over the world of all periods and countries." Former President, respected P.G. Abdul Kalam stated, "Thirukkural is considered to provide the code of ethic, of conduct for the humanity of the planet Earth for all time, which makes the past meet the present and creates the future." Albert Schweitzer, "There hardly exists in the literature of the world a collection of maxims in which we find so much of lofty wisdom." And Mahatma Gandhi, who took to studying Tamil Thirukkural in Tamil while in prison, stated, "A textbook of indispensable authority on moral life," and went on to say, "The maxim of Valluvar have touched my soul. There is none who has given such a treasure of wisdom like him." G.U. Pope, who was the first eminent person to translate the Thirukkural into English, said, "Thirukkural outweighs the whole of remaining literature and is one of the select number of great works which have entered into the very soul of a whole people and which can never die. Thirukkural is as clear as an unpolluted spring. Yes, Thirukkural, the unique book, has come to remove the impurities of this world." How powerful, how profound. And to quote E.V. Daniel, "There are no thou shalt do this and thou shalt not do that. The Quran is a book with sharp observations of real life, a deep understanding of human weaknesses and strength, and wise suggestion as to how we can live up to our fullest capacities as free human beings." End of quote. Archbishop Trench on Thiruvallur and Thirukkural says, I quote, "He abounds in short and memorable, and if I might so call them, epigrammatic sayings, concentrating with a forceful brevity the whole truth which he desires to impart into some single phrase." Reverend P. Percival wrote, Nothing in the whole compass of human language can equal the force and terseness of the couplets in which the author of the Kural conveys the lessons of wisdom. So Thirukkural, the Tamil sacred scripture, is a book of universal ethics because of its broader global perspective and Catholicity in presenting shared ethical precepts in an ambiguous and straightforward Tamil language of stunning beauty and easy rhythm. It is a sole work in the Indian social milieu that elaborates on the art of life in the universe while conquering all conflicts, ambiguities and adversities and contradictions. It is not a book that extols the beauty of the world's impermanence, ephemerality, and transience, while glorifying the other heavenly abode as envisioned in numerous religions. It's a secular book as to how to turn a dull material life into a pleasant and helpful experience for both the individual and the society. It emphasizes how to live a meaningful life and to establish a paradise on earth by nurturing mutual love, respect, and dignity. I think that advocates strongly for Thirukkural as a universal text. And with that background, let me now share with you the very strong advocacy which has been going on for a few decades on to declare Thirukkural as a national book in India. And Thirukkural is not limited to any region, religion, sect, or caste. It is the only book that can serve as the book of the nation with no religious bias, as its message is a universal moral code and a masterpiece on human thoughts. Its message, noble thoughts and great moral lessons, are meant for all humankind to follow for all time to come. It is a precious gem among all classics. And as I said, there has been a lot of advocacy from Tamil scholars from around the world and also from great personalities in Tamil Nadu for more than 2 decades, advocating for Thirukkural to become a national book. And this is a very important initiative. If it happens, it will facilitate further the opening of the doors to go to make it a universal universal book. Well, Tamistai Arakkatalai of Tanjavur, who works for Tamil Development, hosted a day-long symposium on this topic. In the Tamil Nadu Assembly in 2005, the government issued a statement urging the central government to proclaim Thirukkural as a national book. In October 2019, first I'll refer to 2018, January 15, 2018, the minister, Pandya Rajan, while celebrating Valluvar Day, said that the Tamil Nadu government is continuing to pressurize the center to accord national book status to the treatise Thirukkural penned by Saint Thiruvalluvar. They said the government is continuing to ensure that. He also said that January 15 is celebrated at Thiruvalluvar Day as part of the celebrations of the harvest festival Pongal. But Minister Pandya Rajan said that the government had also requested UNESCO to accord World Heritage status to Thirukkural. On behalf of the Tamil Development, I quote, we have also requested UNESCO to recognize it globally by according it World Heritage status. So you could see how the advocacy has been going on very strongly with regards to making it a universal, a national book first. And well, I think, let me just continue. In October 2009, the Minister for Tamil Official Language, Tamil Culture and Archaeology, again Minister Pandya Rajan, requested that Thirukkural be designated again as a national book by the union government. And he said there was very considerable clamor from all quarters for the Tamil classic to be given the rank of a classic. He said that while speaking at the convocation at a convocation at Tamil University, Tanjavur. And he further requested the governor of Tamil Nadu, who was present, to advocate that development centers be established in various locations around the world to protect and perpetuate Tamil culture and language. Palavakkam resident and author Daisy Maran, along with other popular authors and Tamil scholars, met Minister for Tamil Language in August 2020 and submitted a petition urging the government to declare Thirukkural as a national book. As per a news release, the plea was presented to the minister by Dr. Ramamuthu Kumaranar, the founding president of Fifth World Tamil Sangam, as well as Daisy Maran, the former Rotary president, T. Janavel, Mr. Vembu, and Kartik, all of whom are Tamil scholars and writers. So during the World Tamil Conference, the petition sought the government to declare Thirukkural as a national book, so that the morals preached by it might permeate all corners of the globe. The group also stressed that classes on the book should be conducted in schools and colleges. Well, in April 2019, Tarun Vijay joined the group of people supporting Thirukkural, and he met the Union Minister, HRD Minister, Dr. Ramesh Pokhriyal Nisank, and submitted a memorandum urging that Thirukkural, the eternal Tamil classic, be included in all national curricula, including CBSE and so on. And he further stated, he made a very strong plea. In fact, he said that, I'll quote, "I feel like I am working for Mother India when I work for Mother Tamil. Everyone should read Thirukkural since it introduced India and Indians to the world." He went on a Kural Yatra across Tamil Nadu and even called for the compulsory learning of Thirukkural in schools of northern India. So I think the case has been strongly made. And we had also another eminent personality, Mr. Thirukkural, former DGP, Gujarat, urged Prime Minister Modi in a long letter addressed to the Prime Minister, urged him, to make Thirukkural, to give Thirukkural the status of a national book. And I would quote a few messages from him on that. He argues that most scholars of the world's 11 important religions, Vedic Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism, Sikhism, Taoism and Confucianism of China, Zoroastrianism, etc., and Abrahamite of religion, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, and spiritualism confirm that quintessential twin objectives of all spiritual ways are multifaceted self-development, emphatic service delivery to others for their multidimensional welfare and elevation. And Thirukkural presents, therefore, a manual for ideal way of life, epitomizing the soul of all religions, making exaltation without any logical faith-centric and God-ordained theistic stipulation. However, loftiness in its content will be generally acceptable to believers, rationalists, agnostic, and even to those who do not adhere to any philosophical school. He says that the realization of a Thirukkural sound counsel by individual society, state, and institution can usher in an atmosphere envisaged in the Republic of Plato, ancient Greek philosopher, Rama Raja of Mahatma Gandhi, and Caliphate of Umar, both in the private and public life. So strong was his advocacy and affirmation. And he says that Thirukkural continues to say that any Indian book to be officially proclaimed as the national book of India should be in conformity with the foundational structure of the basic law of the land, the Constitution of India. In fact, he says that Thirukkural is the only treatise in human literature, in Indian literature, fully suited to this criterion. Basic, unalterable concepts of the Constitution, the document emanated out of social contract of Indian people, are to secure to it all its citizens justice, social, economic, and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, and faith and worship, equality of status, and opportunity, fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. So we could see how strongly, in fact, in his long communication, over 2,000 words addressed to the Prime Minister, he also says that Mahatma Gandhi commenced his spiritual life by deeming that God is truth. And over the years, he reached through self-discovery that truth is God. Thirukkural places truth originating from pure human conscience in a supreme position and blocks the prospect of any dogma or socio-political ideology subverting justice delivery and creation of an ambience for eternal values. Besides Thirukkural permits all to accept, assimilate, and absorb new vistas of knowledge and wisdom. Certain couplets in chapter 30 caption truth or inspirational. Quran number 295 reads, "Far greater than a benefactor or an ascetic is one whose words come from the depths of truth." Another Quran 297, "Practice truth. You may not practice any other virtue." And he continues, "Water cleanses the body. Truth cleanses the soul." In 298, in all the scriptures we have read, there is no virtue greater than truth, and verse 300. So we can see, therefore, how this is, and in the current time, many among the elite of India are freely indulging in mobocracy, mafiacracy, plutocracy, and cryptocracy for the nefarious benefits at the cost of the rule of law. This is a statement from Sri Kumar. Well, I think I've covered it enough to say that his advocacy for making Thirukkural a national book is very strong, and therefore I think this is a very strong argument. He has received an acknowledgement of this communication from the Prime Minister's office, but now the challenge is to take it further to get it declared a national book. Well, I think this is a matter where I think it's the state government of Tamil Nadu, which has already passed a few resolutions in the Assembly and keep on advocating for it. And we hope that, I understand that new Chief Minister, Honorable Stalin, has also made the appeal to the Prime Minister. So let's hope central state government constant advocacy will finally convince central government to declare Thirukkural as a national book. So let me now come to some aspects of Thirukkural, how it contributes to peace and harmony. In today's technological and scientific society, it is essential to shed light on the concept of peace and harmony in Thirukkural. Thiruvallur views peace and harmony from various angles. He deals with domestic peace, peace and harmony in society, in the governance of the state, and even in the lifestyle of the ascetics. To him, peace and harmony are related to the cosmic order, and he draws close harmony between nature, the macrocosm, and man, the microcosm. Thirukkural provides the solution also for world peace by, firstly, identifying the absence of the characteristics of sharing in people as cause of conflicts. And secondly, identifying the very purpose of all industrious labor in producing wealth is to help the human beings by giving it. The following verses expanded on this. They produce nothing if multiples of billions are produced who neither give to others nor consumes. Qural 1005. Qural 1008, those wealthy who do not help others by giving a thing are like a tree bearing poisonous fruits at the center of the place. Qural 1001, one who has huge wealth but does not consume it and will not do anything with it is only a dead body in fact, since a dead body neither consumes nor does anything. See how powerful is those messages. And the last one I'll quote, all the amassed wealth earned by one by straining hard without the objectives of sharing and helping others will be taken away by others, Qural 1009. And with regards to conflict, Qural, I'll quote Qural 851, peace means absence of conflicts. Conflict is a disease to all beings caused by the absence of the characteristic of sharing. And he further adds, with Qural 853, the removal of the distressing conflict disease will yield stable, that is, never decreasing and non-destructive peace. And Qural 856, else the life of those saying that increasing conflicting is good will be of much instability and destruction. And finally, Qural 858, it is productive of wealth to take to not to conflict, whereas encouraging increased conflict will only increase distraction. So hence we could see how Thirukkural urges that all conflicts be removed, and this removing conflict means you're paving the way for peace. Thirukkural helps in resolving the conflict between capitalism and socialism for world peace. The conflict is due to the competing claim for a bigger share in the above normal profit by claiming their dominant influence on the effect. Thirukkural also maintains that both labor and capital are essential. It emphasizes that in Qural 616, labor produces wealth and the absence of labor will introduce poverty. Qural 619, if something is not possible, even by the Almighty God, labor is training the human body and applying the truth cause-effect relationship will certainly yield the wage, Qural 619. By inference, it says, if the truth is not exploited by labor, then even the Almighty God cannot give it. Well, deterioration in moral values in personal and social life, increasing suicidal cases, increasing criminal behavior, decreasing tolerance and poor adjustment within peer issues are now ubiquitous. I quote, as stated by the United Nations Children's Fund in the World Report 2016, I quote, UNICEF estimated that more than 1 million children are behind bars around the world. Hence, one way to safeguard young generation and society is by inculcating in them the principles of Thirukkural through education. The Thirukkural has all that it takes to take the younger generation the righteous path in life and to make them the future pillars of society. Undoubtedly, where the seeds are cultivated early, the result will be fruitful. Only when the young minds are indoctrinated by the moral philosophies of Thirukkural, then we can envisage a better generation, not only in moral aspects, but also political and in management. It is crucial to highlight that Thirukkural couplets should be integrated into the school curriculum in order to instill righteousness, honesty, integrity, and moral values in school-age children, as this is the appropriate age to do so. To handle psychosocial challenges, it is imperative that Thirukkural couplets be introduced to grade 6 and 12 pupils to 12 as soon as humanly possible. As K.M. Munsi, former governor of Uttar Pradesh, said, I quote, if Thirukkural is taught with all its avenues and dimensions elaborately, students will be equipped with all the facets of life, the probable problems and the solutions. The couplets about friendship, hard work, good character, patience, tolerance, and confidence will guide them through even the most difficult of times. Thirukkural will give them the inner strength to withstand any storm. End of quote. Since the future of every country resides in the hands of the younger generation, the state should therefore lead them along the right path. And there is no other philosophical or theological book that takes such a moral and intellectual approach to life challenges. In Thirukkural, cosmic love, which is considered altruistic, surrounds the entire cosmos and its golden bond, destroying societal inequity generated in the name of caste, class, ethnic supremacy, and other negative forces that impede human solidarity and peaceful coexistence. the hero in Thirukkural is not an archer of the first order, but a strict moral being who considers righteous life, namely Aram, as his guiding principle. Consequently, the martial heroism of the contemporary Tamil society of Thiruvallur was replaced by moral heroism in Thirukkural. Let me now come to UNESCO and briefly share with you the vision of UNESCO and how UNESCO and Thirukkural could contribute tremendously to this mission of world peace. Well, very briefly on UNESCO to start with, UNESCO, in the preamble to the Constitution of UNESCO, it states that, I quote, "Since wars begin in the minds of man, it is in the minds of man that the defenses of peace must be constructed." UNESCO, as you are aware, was established in 1945 in response to nations' firm belief, forged by 2 world wars in less than a generation, that political and economic agreements are insufficient to establish sustainable peace. Peace must be established on the moral and intellectual solidarity of humanity. And UNESCO has a very strong and pertinent history of what we call the culture of peace. UNESCO has issued a final judgment on culture of peace. The following paragraph was included in the final declaration of the United Nations Summit on the Millennium Plus 5 goals in September 2005, demonstrating the urgent need for a transition from a culture of imposition, control, and violence to a culture of meeting, dialogue, reconciliation, and peace by heads of state and government from around the world. I quote, "We commit to take action to promote a culture of peace and dialogue at local, national, regional, and international levels, and request the Secretary General to explore enhancing implementation mechanism and to follow up on these initiatives." So you could see how this was strongly advocated and how eventually the UN adopted another resolution and an item called Culture of Peace. And it was clearly stated in the past, as we know, for centuries, the power has followed the debauched proverb, "If you want peace, prepare for war," which has been enormously beneficial to arms producers throughout the ages, currently attributable to the incredible figure of $3 billion per day, comprising a totally unacceptable condition, as at the same time, some 60 to 70,000 people per day, more than half of whom are children, are being killed. So within a few years, the big shift from force to the word was completed. Despite today's dreary horizons, enormous changes have occurred to build the equal dignity of all human beings a reality, so that everyone, regardless of circumstances, implemented the human race's distinguishing faculty, its enormous creativity, the ability to invent, decide for oneself, and act in accordance with one thought. Well, I think here I would like to refer to former Director General Federico Mayor, who was the architect of the movement for a culture of peace. You know, once in his class in 1969, while teaching, he said he was teaching biochemistry, and he scrawled on the chalkboard, "Revolution." Because of the circumstances in which this occurred, it is easy to picture the pupils' reaction. Then he omitted the R to leave only the word evolution, and he informed them, "This is nature's way of proceeding, and I believe this is how we should proceed as well. The only difference between the two terms is a single R, the R of responsibility. Let's be responsible." So the concept of a culture of peace has matured and established itself within a few years, making it possible for it to become a global reference point for a massive social movement in the next 10 to 15 years. It is not ethically permissible to look the other way now that we are aware for the first time of the quality of life of the others to all corners of the globe, in all corners of the globe. Accepting responsibility and stopping threatening to distribute, sharing responsibility, replacing force with the written word, and fulfilling the first article of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which proclaimed that we should live in a spirit of brotherhood, is more important than ever. And again, the whole culture of peace concept was adopted at a declaration in 1989 in Africa, in Ivory Coast, called the Declaration on Peace in the Minds of Man. And this was a UNESCO initiative. And here I would like to quote what the declaration says: peace is reverence for life. Peace is the most precious possession of humanity. Peace is more than the end of armed conflict. Peace is a mode of behavior. Peace is a deep-rooted commitment to the principles of liberty, justice, equality, and solidarity among all human beings. Peace is also a harmonious partnership of humankind and the environment. Today, on the eve of the 21st century, peace is within our reach. So you could see how this, all these messages has been very powerful messages. And I think there was also another documentation called Cooperation to Promote Cultural Peace in 1992 by UNESCO. And there, I think I would like to quote what the former Secretary General of the UN, Boutros Ghali, said. He said, it has become clear that military force cannot solve the global problems of violence and injustice. Military force requires peace building, not just peacekeeping, as stated by UN Secretary General. We need peace culture, not war culture, as stated at Yamoussoukro. And now we should make this idea operational. So you could see that, and in 1997, the Director General of UNESCO published a document on implementation of the project towards a culture of peace. And in 1999, UNESCO published the book Letters to Future Generations, that includes a selection of texts of various personalities compiled by Federico Mayo. And I just want to mention to you that we are very honored and will be very privileged as the former Director General of UNESCO, Federico Mayo, whom I contacted, has now officially confirmed to be a speaker at our international conference, and on a very symbolic day, on the International Peace Day, on the 21st of September 2021. You know, I'm also, all of us will be very eagerly looking forward to that great occasion. And I'm also very impatiently looking forward to his speech on that occasion. And he's also very much now aware of Thirukkural, and he will certainly bring Thirukkural and UNESCO together in this mission. Well, the Federico Mayo stated in the Letters to Future Generation, many of these pillars of peace can be identified through the process of dialogue across cultures. That is an essential component of a culture of peace. If we come together and act on these principles, we shall be able to move from millennium bedevil by the scourge of war to one blessed with a culture of peace. And well, Nobel Peace Prize is Adolfo Perez Esquivel from Argentina says, I quote, many of us are sure that not all is lost, that we can construct new spaces of freedom, of values, of identity and spirituality for each people and develop a culture of peace created by awareness and practical experience of life. We have learned that nobody can plant seeds with a clenched fist. To sow, one must open one hand, otherwise sowing is impossible. Well, I think this, now I will now talk a bit about UNESCO's contribution to the culture of peace and nonviolence, and then I will come to the UNESCO and Thirukkural building peace and harmony. Well, the establishment of a culture of peace and sustainable development is central to UNESCO's purpose. Since 1945, UNESCO has been promoting the right to quality education and the advancements of science and its applications to develop knowledge and capacity for economic and social progress, the basis of peace and sustainable development. Peacemaking, as anybody participating in the process knows, involves at least as much courage, inventiveness, patience, and strategic planning as war making, but with vastly more good outcomes. Its purpose is harmonious relation between nations, as well as between states and their inhabitants, and between humans and the ecosystem. Achieving that aim necessitates daily peace-building efforts in our families, schools, media, sports, and other organizations. The culture of peace reflects new ways of looking at and thinking about old problems and new ways of resolving them. According to Federico Mayo, it is a vision linked to the pursuit of social and economic justice in which everyone plays an active part. Its purpose is to quote, I quote, to provide the needed solidarity, both intellectual and moral, to unite people working around the world for peace and justice, and to inspire hope and persistence for the common task. I think with these, this message about UNESCO's role, I will now attempt, I must say, I still have to do more work on it until we reach the UNESCO conference global summit. I will continue to work on this, really my theme, and I will, the theme for all of us, in fact. And now I would like to, I've tried to reflect and write about how UNESCO and Thirukkural both together can contribute to building peace and harmony in the minds, but also in the world. Well, the UNESCO commitment to peace, I have to repeat it again because it's fundamental, is enshrined in the preamble to its constitution, which states that since war begins in the minds of man, it is in the minds of man that the defenses of peace must be constructed. Thirukkural, on the other hand, contains the treasures that lead and construct harmony at home as well as in the whole country. Hence, UNESCO and Holy Kural can cooperatively work in building peace and harmony in one's life and in the entire world. Only then can we envisage a stable community without wars. You know, at the International Conference on Thirukkural in Kanyakumari in 2015, we had passed a resolution at the conference to invite UNESCO to declare Thirukkural as the book of universal literature. I would prefer to use the term of universal literature, book of universal literature at this stage, which is this may be more consonant with UNESCO. And Minister Pandya again said that request UNESCO to consider World Heritage status. And at a graduation ceremony in Tanjavur, again, the issue was raised. So Minister of HRD Minister Smriti Irani said that Thirukkural would soon find a place in the UNESCO library, as its Director General Irina Bukova had requested that the ancient Indian text be made available to them. She said, I'd replied that the Thirukkural will be sent to showcase Indian literary genius. Well, here is a few references in Thirukkural, which we can consider as recipe for speaking sweet that promotes peace and poise, joy and harmony, as prescribed by Thiruvallur. I quote Kural 92, better than a gift, words nice, sweet with love and smile, that all should give swift. Kural 93, that is virtue true, fond look, sweet words, cheerful face, make divine life sure. So Thirukkural is one of the oldest ethical treatises teaching people of all cultures the highest moral principles. And we all know that Thirukkural, Valluvar economic model revolved around the monarchy, and because it was a pre-industrial era with less technological breakthrough than now, the agricultural sector was the most important factor in the economy's growth. Thiruvallur provide people with not only moral standards for living a long and healthy life, but also an economic outlook that aided them in functioning as an ideal community. Through Thirukkural, UNESCO can promote peace by providing unique advice and enriching human lives in areas such as the code of conduct, leadership role for leading nations, family life, and nearly every other facet of life. Without it, the troubled rebels will overturn any civilized society. Thirukkural provides a remedy to all of the above mentioned issues. It comprises couplets that can be used to guide common people and organizations through challenging situations. UNESCO should consider using Thirukkural to promote values in schools. Good education for all transcends politics, and it has now become logical to resurrect their motivation underlying government directives. Here I would like to come to a landmark judgment in 2016, which adds further to the advocacy, to the case we are making for Thirukkural to go to UNESCO, to go to the world, and to work with UNESCO so that we can bring this major change in our society. And I would therefore briefly refer to the judgment on Thirukkural by Justice R. Mahadevan from the Madurai branch of the Madras High Court. The history of this initiative is, I must say, it's in the light of all the above concerns expressed by regarding degradation of values in society in Tamil Nadu. One retired officer, Mr. S. Rajaratnam, filed a petition under Article 226 of the Constitution of India to issue a writ of mandamus directing the respondents 1 and 2, who are the Ministry of Education of Tamil Nadu, to reframe the syllabus from the academic year so as to ensure that students have covered the all the couplets of Thirukkural by the time they step out of schools, by including it as a separate subject for the academic years from standard 6 to 12, and pass the same as a policy decision of the government. The court, with Justice Mahadevan, and the prevailing circumstances in the judgment, was forced to quote the famous quotes of renowned philosophers so as to enlighten the objects of education. I will just quote a few. There are a number of quotes worth citing, which will give a lot of food for thought. One is Aristotle: educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. Chanakya: education is the best friend. An educated person is respected everywhere. Education beats the beauty and the youth. And Nelson Mandela: education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Martin Luther King: intelligence plus character. That is the goal of true education. C.S. Lewis: education without values, as useful as it is, seems rather to make a man a cleverer devil. Socrates: education the kindling of a flame, not the filling of a vessel. And Victor Hugo: he who opens a school door closes a prison. Thomas Jefferson: I know no safe depository of the ultimate power of society but the peoples themselves. And if we think them not enlightened enough to exercise their control with a wholesome direction, the remedy is not to take it from them, but to inform their discretion by education. This is the corrective abuses of constitutional power. Swami Vivekananda: educate and raise the masses, thus alone a nation is possible. So therefore, the best educational system for a nation will be the one where human mind is sprouted rather than a mere intelligent or money-making machine. In the absence of virtues, howsoever successful be a man, his life is never satisfying. Well, civilized nations, they're not does not lie in the mere development of social, economic, and scientific or ideological growth. It should devolve in developing a person as a good soul along with other achievements. And therefore, Thirukkural offers a solution to all the above problems. It contains couplets to guide every common man and institutions in difficult situations. It is cherished and preached more than in the lens of its origin. So we have a number of verses which refer to all these statements I've made in chapter 7, chapter 10, chapter 6. So all these are there. I will not dwell on them because of time, but I'm sure all of us, we can draw our inferences, our so all these are very important for us, especially the emphasis on education and the strengths of virtues. I'll quote on his strengths of virtues, couplet 31. It yields distinction, yields prosperity. What gain greater than virtue can a living man obtain? And with regards to gratitude, it is never good to let the thought of good things done thee pass away. Of things not good, it is good to read thy memory that very day. So we could see how these various chapters deals with various aspects of life, and all these will certainly help us to build a better world. And all these will contribute, will feed into UNESCO's mission and help us to come to this great mission that we have set forward. Well, I think I've mentioned the judgment by Justice Mahadevan, and he has concluded by instructing the government of Tamil Nadu to teach Thirukkural compulsory from grade 6 to 12. And he said that, I quote, if Thirukkural is taught with all its avenues and dimensions elaborate, the student should be equipped with all the facets of life, the probable problems and the solutions. The couplets about friendship, hard work, good character, patience, tolerance, and confidence will guide them through even the most difficult of times. Thirukkural will give them the inner strength to withstand any storm. Therefore, this court comments that appropriate action must be taken by the government through the committee which decides the syllabus, considering the noble objective and the demanding situation, and finalize the syllabus for the next academic year by including 108 chapters, Adigarams of Thirukkural, Aratuppal, and Poruppal in the curriculum of students of between grade 6 to 12, keeping in mind that the purpose of education must be to build a nation with moral values. And Justice Mahadevan in his ruling said the spurt in crimes made him think that moral science classes in school were insufficient, and that an understanding of the Quran could streamline the character of an individual right from childhood. Well, there is another important element which has been promoted in Thirukkural, and this combines with UNESCO, and I'm about to conclude. Love has been suggested as the most powerful panacea for eradicating social inequalities and help for building a peaceful and harmonious existence. Therefore, UNESCO can conduct seminars and conferences on the theme, love to build peace and harmony, as the foremost and indispensable quality of life. While the world may be increasingly interconnected, human rights violation, inequality and poverty still threaten peace and sustainability. Global citizenship education is UNESCO's response to these challenges. It works by empowering learners of all ages to understand that these are global, not local issues, and to be active promoters for a more peaceful, tolerant, inclusive, secure, and sustainable society. It aims to instill in learners the values, attitudes, and behaviors that support responsible global citizenship, creativity, innovation, and commitment to peace, human rights, and sustainable development. The lessons that each human being can draw from Thirukkural are so powerful that they can be regarded as source of inspiration for all ages. the lesson that each human being can draw for, well, sorry. Through Thirukkural, people, irrespective of the age, can focus on the need for knowledge, the process of acquisition of knowledge, the authenticity of knowledge, and the action born out of knowledge, the positioning of the learner of the knowledge acquisition in a social setup, and learning to celebrate the self. Well, I've now come to the conclusion of my talk, and I would just like to emphasize that the process for us to take Thirukkural to UNESCO at the global conference and get it adopted as a book of universal literature is, while it's a very noble mission, I must say it's also very challenging. And we have to work hard towards this objective by following the right path. And my own experience as Secretary General of UNESCO Executive Board and General Conference, the procedures are very well laid down. It's the national government of India, the central government of India, which will have to be in the lead role. And therefore, with state government already committed, we now have to convince central government. I know Prime Minister Modi himself never lose an opportunity in all these major addresses internationally to quote Thirukkural. I know in Parliament, many ministers of finance, Chidambaram, and the current minister, Honorable Nirmala, always quote Thirukkural when they present their budget. We know the importance of Thirukkural as stated by Mahatma Gandhi. So we hope all these will prevail, and our members of parliament from Tamil Nadu and from across the board, as you could see, there's unanimous recognition of Thirukkural as a national book, unanimous recognition of Thirukkural for its universality. Therefore, the challenge now is for all of us to join together, use all our network to strongly advocate and get the Tamil Nadu government to take a leadership role in promoting that, and first getting the Thirukkural proclaimed as a national book, which will be a great step forward. And then we move together, central government of Tamil Nadu, state government, and the whole Tamil community in the world, but not only the Tamil community, all the lovers of Thirukkural. And we know they are not only in Tamil Nadu, they are in the whole world. We have many great dignitaries who have written and supported Thirukkural. So we need to galvanize all these support in our move to take Thirukkural to the world. And therefore, this is my prayer. This is my wish. I can share with you that I know it's a challenging task. It will not be easy, but we are on the right track. And what I did, I must tell you in all humility, with faith, I went to Mylapore at the Valluvar temple when I embarked on this Kural mission, on this pilgrimage. I prayed and seek his blessings. I said, you have done so much, you are recognized globally, but we want it to be recognized formally. And our prayer is that we can bring a statue of Valluvar at UNESCO, the Temple of Peace, and also get Thirukkural recognized as a book of universal literature. This is my prayer. This is my plea. I could feel when I visited the temple that he was listening to me. He was giving his blessings. And let's hope together, all of us, great lovers of Thirukkural and great disciples of Valluvar, let's join together and reach that goal during our lifetime. That's my prayer, that's my wish. Mikka Nandri, thank you for your kind attention.
If anyone have any questions.
Before question, Parsari, let me also thank on behalf of everyone here. today the sir has delivered, Dr. Parsuramen has delivered an excellent speech. It is the history, it is the content of Thirukkural, the milestone in UNESCO's declarations, and the necessity of building peace, and what each one of us need to do, and what the government need to do, and what Thirukkural lovers all over the world will have to do. And finally, he concluded by saying his prayer, wish, and plea. You could feel the sincerity in his the truthfulness in his speech, and I'm 100% sure, because chapter 103 of Thirukkural talks about when somebody wish something not for his personal benefit, but for the benefit of the entire humanity, then it automatically happens, because the natural forces around us, the natural aram which is around us, within us, it will help us to achieve our goal. Sir, first of all, let me thank you for excellent speech, sir. And I'm telling you, with your guidance, with your experience, and you are really kind enough to share your that farewell day small clipping of yours and from UNESCO. I could see that what is the road you have chosen for yourself after that official capacity, whatever you have done. I know your heart is there in removing enabling the differently able to people to lead a normal life, and here also that is physically, this is mentally. Thirukkural reinforces one's strength, inner strength, and that inner strength is a must, because to face any situation, the inner strength is very, very important, and Thirukkural help us to build in a systematic manner. And you told UNESCO should adopt and try to build among the young minds the knowledge about Thirukkural. So thank you once again, sir. And as Parsadi already opened the floor for the question, Parsadi, you can conduct the meeting. Thank you.
Yes, if you have any questions, so you can just ask now.
I have one question, Dr. Parsuramen.
Yes.
Is there any guideline from UNESCO to identify a world or universal literature that we missed out somewhere?
I don't think they have one like that as such, but they've given recognition to a number of things. Huh?
Yeah.
So that's why I think the idea of a universal literature is better than the idea of a universal book of the world, because they don't have book of the world, So I would prefer we advocate for Thirukkural as universal, the book of universal literature, give it the universality of it. Yes. And couch in that, if we can bring the statue of Valluvar at UNESCO, you would understand the symbol and the impact. Just for your information, the government of India has when I was secretary of the executive board of UNESCO, there was a resolution to install a statue of Aurobindo at UNESCO, and it was done. So you could see that what I'm trying to say, that Valluvar also has the same, can have the same claim to have a place there, and UNESCO has Mahatma Gandhi has a special place there. So I'm talking of the Indian personalities, and therefore Valluvar, with all that it represents, we should be able to do that. And now how you do that, as again I said, I would like to make it clear, the central government of Tamil Nadu will have to write officially to UNESCO, will present an item on the agenda of the executive board, right? And canvass it, and then get the board to approve that resolution, right? And many of such things have been done globally for many other regions, right? When I was secretary of the board, we had done quite a number of them, right? But this has to be spearheaded by the central government of Tamil Nadu, in particular the HRD ministry, which is responsible for UNESCO matters.
Yeah,
So
okay.
they will have to take the lead and come with at the board meeting at UNESCO, submit a proposal, a resolution, a document, and from that debate will take place. And once the board, 58 members, approve it, then it goes to the general conference where 195 countries. Though I don't see any problem of getting that
Of
through,
those things, yeah.
right? As I said, I have myself, I worked closely with India during my term of office, with the ambassador of India to UNESCO, with the Indian government, Minister Kapil Sibal, when India wanted to have the International Institute of Peace and Sustainability, the Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Peace and Sustainable Development in Delhi. Now, this is a UNESCO institute. It's rarely that UNESCO does that, but I can tell you the amount of advocacy, the amount of navigating we had to do with all the different views from different political groups. We managed, we succeeded. So it's not straightforward, I must say. But the sine qua non condition is the full involvement of central government of India, right? And then the rest will follow very easily.
So
right? The rest can be canvassed.
the point is that now we have to put more effort in New Delhi to lobbying.
Yes. But as I said, we can do so. We've already had this letter to the Minister of Foreign Affairs. But I believe if state government
Has to pressure,
right, take this with a very dignified way, not in a conflicting way. This is my opinion as a politician, as a diplomat. If we should make Thirukkural or Tiruvalluvar as the subject of consensus, universality globally, but consensus in India. That's why the step to make it a national book will be very important. Once you rally the whole nation to make it a national book, then India as one. Prime Minister Modi, hopefully during his term, since he's been advocating for it, he's been recognizing Quran. If he takes it, we are there. We'll reach the goal, and the whole world will celebrate. Not only for a matter of pride, it's a matter of significant contribution that Thirukkural can make to the world, especially in the field of education, values, and world peace. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
okay.
you.
I have a clarification question. You have this UNESCO World Heritage Sites, cultural and natural.
Yes.
They have guidelines, on the, the site. So many people apply. It is deliberated upon. Finally, they give. Do we have any guidelines, existing guidelines, for the central government to propose? They should be first convinced that Thirukkural meets perfectly these guidelines, so that can be presented or forwarded. The application can be forwarded to the UNESCO. Is there any guideline like the list of natural heritage sites, cultural heritage sites? Do we have a list of books that have been declared or personnel have been recognized?
To my knowledge, I don't think so. But let me check. I prefer to check. But I believe, as we have advocated, Thirukkural being so universal, outstandingly universal. But let me double check. Right? That's why I've said we better focus on universal literature, right? And not Book of the World, because you have the various connotation of Guinness Book of Record, Book of the World, and so on. So let me focus on that aspect, which will be more relevant. But the most important, if we get that adopted as a resolution, it tantamounts to the recognition of Thirukkural as a global book. And also with a statue there, it will be. But I will do further research, Dr. Ashraf, and I will certainly inform the committee about it. And so I believe that the roadmap is clear. We need to work towards it, and let's advocate as all of us join together, use all the network, and with the blessings of Valluvar, as Brother Rajendran said, in Quran itself, it says, if you do things with faith, with a purpose for humanity, it's bound to happen. That's my own conviction also. You know, so long as you are doing it for a good cause, right, I'm sure the obstacles will be removed. So we continue, keep up the momentum, and I'm sure we'll get the fruits of all that in due course. Thank you. Yes.
We will carry Lord Ganesha also with us.
Sir, one
Sorry?
question.
In case of any obstacle.
This is Russo from Chennai.
Yes.
You are telling that a nation has the first step of installation of statue of Thirukkural and bringing the book as a UNESCO pride. The Indian government should take the step. Given the status that Tamil is official language in more than one country, Sri Lanka, Singapore, and more than one country, can any other government which is having the official language can bring us proposal like that? Because India is a bigger democratic with a larger political interest. Rather than these things taking up a spiritual thing, the political game is going on in India. So I don't. So if these countries, the other country where the Tamil language is an official, Tamil is an official language, can they take this proposal to the UNESCO?
Very good. Well, that's a very good question. Let me share an example with you. When I was secretary of the executive board, I realized, I'll give you an example just to bring to that, to reply to you. I am inspired by Mother Teresa. So while my board, the executive board was on midway, I just discovered that she was born in 1810. Sorry, I think it was, 1810. 1910, sorry, 1910. 1910. So I saw that, and that was the time during the board when we were passing resolution to celebrate. You know, we have celebrated 100 years of great personalities. 50, we start with 50, 100, and 50, 200, and so on. We've celebrated many great personalities, you know. So it was not easy because the board had started. Normally documents to the board has to go 1 month before. But I was so convinced that this would be something good to do. I talked to my director general, to my chairman of the board, and I had to canvass the Indian ambassador, the representative of Vatican together, and we made a move. At the last minute, we managed to secure the approval of celebration of Mother Teresa's 100th birthday by UNESCO, which became then a universal event. So what I'm trying to say, I had to go to India. As secretary of the board, the initiative would not work if India didn't step in. Why? Because Mother Teresa has Indian nationality. There was also the Albanian nationality which was in question. So that led to some negotiation. You know, UNESCO is a very political organization. So we had to negotiate all that together, but then it was clear and we got it. So in the case of Thirukkural is Indian origin, right? No other country will be able to take a lead to take it to UNESCO if India doesn't do it, right? It will not have the same force because India will not certainly accept it like that, right? This is part of the international. So I don't think another country taking it would be, because you need to get consensus on that. The other countries can also help to advocate, right? Mauritius will advocate. Malaysia, Singapore, many other countries where we are the diaspora across the world will get them to rally and to support. But the procedures for UN, you know, be it the UN General Assembly, be it UNESCO, it has to be in the way I've advised, that the central government of Tamil Nadu, certainly with the full support and collaboration of state government of Tamil Nadu, then this can move forward and we can reach that goal. It's not a big deal. We can do it, right? But it has to be initiated in the way I'm telling you.
Again, the origin of the literature is in India, so it should be initiated.
That's it.
And it should be a collaborative effort
Exactly.
from both state and central government.
And many countries in the world, not only a diaspora country, and many countries in the world will support. Yeah, is that okay? Is that clear?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Parsuramen,
yes.
Since we are all eager to make it happen, should we have a target date so that we have something in mind to work upon?
Our objective was to organize in 2020, following the series of international conferences, a global conference at UNESCO Paris, where we would galvanize all the efforts and make the strong case there. You know, but because of COVID, as you are aware, we have had to postpone it. We can't fix a date now because it depends on COVID.
Okay.
When will this year is almost impossible. It's impossible, right? Probably next year, but we don't know. So that's why we are keeping the momentum by organizing a series of international conferences. We'll get a series of eminent personality will join in as we build up the momentum. And then when the time is appropriate, we'll organize a global summit meeting at UNESCO Paris.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Sir, one more question. Any formal letter of request to be forwarded to state government so that the process ball can be set to roll? You can set the ball to roll?
I must say, what is interesting is the last government in Tamil Nadu has already issued a resolution, a decree, or what you call it. I think governor has already issued a writ, what you call, sorry, a GO.
Yeah.
Decided to set up a committee under the chairmanship of the Minister of Tamil Development, a committee of 9 people to work on this project of taking Thirukkural to UNESCO. So they have endorsed it. I hope the new government also will take it further. And I must say that I was very privileged because we've advocated a lot with Tamil Nadu government. They've included me as a member of the committee with the minister as the chair. So we've had one session, then COVID came. So I hope this will be revived and we can then take it there in a more structured way. So that's the situation for the timing. So Tamil Nadu government has done it, but they should do it more vehemently, right? And rallying all support in a non-partisan way, so that it should be the glory of India to have Thirukkural recognized, right? That point I want to make it clear. It will happen only when we do that.
Excellent.
Sir, may I speak? Dr. Kavita Ganesan from Tamil Nadu.
Ganesan, very happy to have you with us.
Thank you, sir. Tamil Vanakkam. Our Indian Prime Minister Modi ji is very much interested in Thirukkural. All of we know. We have given many pressure and wrote letters to Prime Minister and new Tamil Nadu Tamil Minister Thangam Thennarasu. Now, we have already applied through our Tamil associations, and I will give maximum all pressures from the Tamil association throughout the world to Thangam Thennarasu and Prime Minister of India. That is my work.
Very good.
I have done.
Can you share a copy of the correspondence with us? I'll be happy to have a copy of that.
Yes. Okay, sir. I will send it.
That will be helpful. But it's good. You keep the momentum, keep the pressure, right? So that this can be given forefront. And even if you're a member of parliament from Tamil Nadu or anybody interested, get a member of parliament to raise the question in parliament. That's another way of bringing attention to the issue. You know, they can raise a question in Lok Sabha. Making a proposal like that would also be another way of triggering the outcome of that.
Definitely, I will do, sir, with our MPs and also our MLAs, even Kadalur MLA, Kadalur MP. We will do it.
Excellent.
Definitely.
That is the way to do it. That's politics, as you know.
Yes.
That's the only way you can get it done.
Yes.
Right?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Kavi. Yes. Well.
Hi, sir. This is Dr. Srirohini from Dubai.
Yes, Dr. Srirohini, yes. Welcome.
Sir, I have one query regarding that. See, we are in a youth generation. So whatever, as I am making our Thirukkural as a national language, we wrote many poems and quatrain, everything, and we made statues in Chennai, Erode, and everywhere. What the government makes is they made the controversies regarding that Thirukkural is not an universal language, and they gave the letter to concerned authorities to us. So, is there any committee like now here it is 17 participants? So, is there any committee we form regarding this making us an universal language, or we making us a proud to script as a Thiruvalluvar and Thirukkural? Is there any committee you have in UNESCO or anywhere? Because we can, as we are in abroad, we cannot we cannot push up more as a single person. If they join together, so we can wrote a letter from each country representing us. There is more in our universal Thirukkural. There is more. So each one we can contribute from our side in a letter pad. And I can, when I go to India, I will submit to the government or anywhere. Here, I submitted here in Dubai. I submitted the letter regarding our universal language and everywhere. So like that, each one of our contributing to letter, and we can make it as regarding that. Is there any possibility to make it? Is there any solution?
Very good, a very good suggestion, I must say. It's a very good point made, because in addition to all the efforts we are making, trying to get central government to take the lead and state government, I think the popular support will also help. So what you are doing in Dubai, from Dubai, I think is a very good thing. All these will help together, all that will will make it grow as a universal movement, right, to achieve that goal. So the more voices we have, the more things. But with regards to your question about the committee that we have constituted a committee just to be the advocate, right? But as I said, to be able to reach the goal, we need, because it's the UN, it's the United Nations, we need central government, and we need also state government together, right, to take the lead. All the petitions we can write, all the letters we can write will not bring the result unless we follow this path. The path is the government of India submit a resolution to UNESCO, and this will be debated, discussed there. And there at that time, we'll have to mobilize all of us, and then we'll reach our goal. I hope it is clear to you, but we are very happy of your interest. And I hope, Partha Sarathi, we have the contact detail, and we will certainly would like you to keep in touch with us.
Sure, sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chandrika ma'am, for introducing here the floor regarding this Thirukkural and everywhere. She is the one to making us to outer world and everything. She joined us.
Excellent.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we've completed the discussion now. Partha?
Yes, sir. So we can just thanks to everyone. So we can we'll have another session, and it will be announced soon. And this recorded sessions will be available in the YouTube, and it's also in the International Thirukkural Foundation website. And please share these details to your country and wherever you are. And we are also putting together a plans how the world community can join with us from Tamil Sangam and all the countries wherever you are. Maybe by representing from your side as a global citizen. And we also need support from not just from Tamil community, from all other communities, and that you can advocate to bring the support, because we need a collective support to achieve this goal. And we will be sharing a detailed plan, how each one of you from wherever you are, you can contribute so that to achieve this mission. Thanks everyone for joining this great evening.
Thank you, Partha.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rajendran sir. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
நன்றி, நன்றி, நன்றி சார், நன்றி.